If you're over 60, this might be the most important video you watch all year because the exercises I'm about to walk you through are the exact ones that keep people moving confidently, independently, and pain-free as they age. And the surprising part is that most people skip these 5 movements not because they're difficult or time-consuming, but simply because no one ever told them how critical they are. Today, I'm fixing that. Whether you want stronger balance, better posture, fewer aches, or just the ability to keep doing the things you love without slowing down, stick with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what your body has been missing and how to start fixing it today. When you cross 60, balance becomes one of those things you don't think about until it suddenly demands your attention. The truth is, balance doesn't vanish overnight. It fades quietly, almost invisibly in the background of your daily life. You don't wake up one morning feeling dramatically unsteady. What actually happens is a gradual shift that creeps in through tiny moments, reaching for a countertop without thinking, hesitating for a split second before stepping off a curb, slowing down your pace on uneven ground because something just doesn't feel as sure as it used to. These little signs are your body's way of whispering that the stabilizing muscles in your legs and hips are weakening and the neural pathways that keep you coordinated aren't being stimulated like they once were. That's why rebuilding single leg balance isn't just a fitness recommendation, it's one of the most important investments you can make in your independence and safety as you age. Most people underestimate how complex balance actually is. They think it's just standing on one foot and not falling, but in reality, balance is a team effort between your muscles, your joints, your eyes, your inner ear, and your brain. Over time, if you don't challenge this system, it stops operating at its highest level. The muscles around your ankles lose responsiveness. The stabilizers in your hips weaken. The brain's coordination signals slow down. This combination leads to a decline that often goes unnoticed until a near fall or an awkward stumble wakes you up to what's changing. And the real danger isn't the loss of balance itself, it's the cascade of risks that come after it. Hesitation, fear of movement, reduced activity, slower walking, and eventually a shrinkage of the physical freedom you once took for granted. This is why single leg balance training is so powerful. It directly targets the areas most responsible for keeping you upright. When you lift one foot off the ground and rely on a single leg to hold your body, dozens of muscles activate instantly. Your ankle adjusts microsecond by microsecond. Your calf works to stabilize. Your quadriceps keep you centered. Your glutes fire to hold your hips level. And your core engages to prevent tipping. At the same time, your brain is processing signals from your joints and muscles, refining its ability to coordinate your body in real time. It's not just exercise, it's a full recalibration of your stability system. What surprises most people is how quickly improvements show up when they practice consistently. You don't need long sessions or complicated routines. Even 10 to 20 seconds at a time starts retraining your body. The key is consistency because every time you challenge your balance, you strengthen those pathways a little more. You might start with holding onto a wall or countertop, and there's nothing wrong with that. What matters is that you're giving your body the stimulus it needs. With repetition, you'll feel your ankles responding faster, your hips staying steadier, and your posture becoming more upright without even trying. Another powerful part of balance training is its impact on confidence. After 60, one of the biggest unspoken fears people develop is the fear of falling. It's not just the physical consequences, it's the psychological shift. When you stop trusting your balance, you start avoiding things. You avoid walking on grass, stepping onto curbs, navigating crowded areas, or going out at night. This avoidance chips away at your independence. But when you rebuild your balance, even if it's a little at a time, that confidence returns. You begin to move with more certainty again. You feel stronger, more in control, more capable. You're not avoiding life, you're engaging with it. It's easy to think that loss of balance is simply part of aging, but research and real-life experience show the opposite. Balance is trainable at any age. The body continues adapting as long as you keep challenging it. The muscles around your hips and ankles respond beautifully to focused training. The brain continues forming new neural connections even in your 70s and 80s. You're not stuck with the level of balance you have today. You can improve it significantly and often faster than you expect. Another overlooked benefit of single leg balance training is its impact on reaction time. When you stumble or slip, your body needs to react instantly to catch you. People who practice balance exercises develop faster corrective reactions. Their feet adjust quicker, their hips stabilize faster, and their core engages sooner. That kind of protection isn't visible on the outside, but it makes an enormous difference in real life. Single leg balance also improves functional strength in ways that carry over directly into daily activities. Getting out of a car, climbing stairs, stepping into the shower, putting on pants, walking uneven terrain all require single leg strength and stability. But if that strength fades, these tasks become harder, slower, and sometimes risky. But when you train regularly, these movements feel easier again. You move with more ease and less strain because your stabilizing muscles are doing their job. The beauty of this exercise is that you can do it anywhere. You don't need equipment, a gym, or a lot of time. Start near a wall, lift one foot, hold for a few seconds, switch sides, repeat as often as you like throughout the day. That's all it takes to begin rebuilding the foundation of your balance system. And as simple as it sounds, this practice can dramatically change how you move, how you feel, and how confidently you navigate your world. Ignoring balance training after 60 isn't just skipping an exercise, it's allowing one of the most important abilities of your body to weaken quietly. When people delay working on their balance, they often regret it later when they realize how preventable their struggles could have been. But the good news is, you don't have to be one of those people. You can start now, reclaim your stability, rebuild your confidence, and give yourself the strength to move fearlessly for years to come.
When you reach your 60s, one of the biggest changes your body goes through is how it handles everyday movements, especially anything that involves bending, lifting, or reaching. Most people never learn the proper way to hinge at the hips, and because of that, the lower back ends up getting abused for decades without them realizing it. The human body was designed to use the hips and glutes, the strongest muscles you have, to handle the majority of bending tasks. But when those muscles weaken or when you're simply not using them correctly, the spine steps in to take over work it was never built to handle. This creates a chain reaction of stiffness, strain, and discomfort that shows up more and more with age. That's why mastering the hip hinge movement becomes incredibly important, not for the sake of exercise performance, but for the sake of moving through life without pain or fear. Think about how many times you bend forward in a single day, picking something up off the floor, leaning over the sink, reaching into a cabinet, lifting a bag of groceries, sitting down and standing up, even tying your shoes. Every one of these actions requires your body to fold forward, and each one can either protect your spine or stress it. The difference comes down to whether you hinge at the hips or round through the back. When you hinge correctly, your spine stays long and neutral while your hips push backward, allowing your glutes and hamstrings to absorb the load. When you hinge incorrectly, your back rounds and takes the full brunt of the force, leading to that familiar tightness that creeps in after simple tasks. What catches many people by surprise is how quickly hip hinge training can reverse years of discomfort. Even the most basic version, standing tall, pushing the hips back, keeping the chest open, and coming back up, starts reteaching your body the movement pattern it was meant to use. You're not trying to build big muscles or do anything intense. You're simply teaching your body how to move the way it was designed to do. And your body responds amazingly well to this kind of training, even at 60, 70, or beyond. It's never too late because movement patterns are learned behaviors. If you teach them back to your body, the body listens. One of the biggest reasons people regret skipping hinge training is because the back doesn't give early warnings. You might feel a little tight or a little stiff, but nothing that seems urgent. Then one day you lean down to pick up something small, something light, maybe even something as harmless as a towel, and suddenly your back seizes up. People often think these moments happen because of age or weakness, but more often they happen because the hinge pattern wasn't being used. The spine was overloaded repeatedly until it finally pushed back. Learning the hinge protects you from these sudden, frustrating episodes because it redistributes the load where it belongs, your powerful hip muscles. Another key part of hinge training is how it restores your range of motion. Many people over 60 experience hamstring tightness that makes bending forward uncomfortable. They assume tight muscles are just part of getting older, but most of the time the tightness is simply the result of not using the hips correctly. When the hips move poorly, the hamstrings tighten to compensate. But when you start practicing a proper hinge, the hips begin to glide the way they should. The hamstrings loosen naturally, and the lower back stops carrying unnecessary tension. It feels like your body becomes unstuck, and movements that once felt stiff start to feel smooth again. What also makes hip hinge training so valuable is how deeply it affects your posture and your walking mechanics. Strong hips create stability for the pelvis, which keeps your spine aligned. This alignment impacts everything, from how easily you climb stairs to how comfortably you stand for long periods. When the hips are weak, the pelvis tilts, the core disengages, and the lower back is forced into positions that increase discomfort. But when the hips strengthen and become more functional through hinge training, the entire structure of your movement becomes more efficient. You stand taller without trying, you walk with more purpose, you move with less restriction. Many people assume hinge training means heavy lifting, but the truth is you can learn and practice the hinge with zero weight. In fact, starting with no weight is the ideal way to build the correct pattern. You can practice near a wall, pushing your hips back until they gently touch, then coming forward again. You can use a broomstick or even just your own body awareness. What matters is that you're teaching your body to bend through the hips without rounding your spine. Once the pattern becomes familiar, daily life begins to feel different. Tasks that used to strain you now feel manageable. Movements that once made you cautious now feel controlled. Another major benefit that people overlook is how hinge training improves your ability to lift things safely. Whether it's a grandchild, a suitcase, a bucket of water, or a grocery bag, lifting becomes far less risky when your hinge mechanics are solid. Instead of bending from the lower back, you bend with strength, stability, and intention. This prevents the cumulative wear and tear that leads to chronic back issues. And it builds confidence that you can handle your daily tasks without fear of hurting yourself. The hip hinge is also one of the best ways to keep your legs strong as you age. Strong glutes aren't just about power, they're about stability, posture, and longevity. When the glutes weaken, everything above and below suffers. Knees track poorly, the lower back tightens, walking speed decreases. But hinge training naturally strengthens the glutes in a safe, controlled way that doesn't overload the joints. This gives you a strong base of support that translates into better balance, better mobility, and a more youthful way of moving. Most regrets around exercise after 60 come from realizing too late how preventable certain pains and limitations were. Hip hinge training is one of the clearest examples of that. People don't know how crucial it is until their back starts complaining or their mobility starts shrinking. But once they learn it and incorporate it into their routine, the changes are undeniable. Movements become easier, bending feels safer, the body feels more aligned and capable. And that sense of ease isn't just physical, it affects your mindset too. You begin trusting your body again, which is something many people don't realize they've lost. The hinge pattern is a simple, powerful, and foundational movement. Training it consistently isn't just about exercise, it's about reclaiming a freedom to move without hesitation and without pain. And that freedom is something every person deserves, especially as they move through their 60s and beyond.
When you're over 60, ankle mobility becomes one of those hidden factors that quietly shapes the quality of your movement, even though most people never give it a second thought. You notice tight shoulders, you notice sore knees, you notice a stiff lower back. But the ankles rarely get the attention they deserve, even though they're the foundational joints your entire body depends on every time you take a step. The loss of ankle mobility doesn't arrive suddenly. It's a slow and subtle decline that can sneak up on you in ways that seem unrelated at first. Maybe walking uphill feels harder than it used to. Maybe your steps feel shorter. Maybe you feel off balance on uneven surfaces. Or maybe your knees ache after longer walks despite you not having any knee issues in the past. All of these problems can be traced back to stiff, underused, or weakened ankles that aren't moving the way they once did. The ankle is supposed to glide freely back and forth with each step, giving your body the ability to absorb impact, stabilize, and push off smoothly. But as you age, especially if you sit more or stay in limited movement patterns, this joint stiffens. The calves tighten, the Achilles tendon loses elasticity, and the joint capsule itself becomes less responsive. When that movement shrinks, the entire chain above the ankle is forced to compensate. Your knees take on more force, your hips rotate in unnatural ways, your lower back works overtime to stabilize.
Eventually, discomfort shows up in places that seem completely unrelated to the ankles themselves, which is why people often miss the real source of the problem. Mobility work at the ankles helps restore this crucial glide. It teaches the joint to move through its natural range again. And when the ankles regain mobility, everything above them starts functioning better. Walking becomes smoother because the foot can roll properly. Knees stop absorbing unnecessary stress because the ankle is finally doing its part. Balance improves dramatically because your ankle becomes more responsive to changes in the ground beneath you. Even posture changes because when your feet and ankles move well, your hips and spine aren't forced into compensations just to help you stay upright. Most people over 60 feel tightness in the ankles without realizing it. You might notice it when trying to squat down, when walking downstairs, or when stepping off a curb. Sometimes you feel it when your foot doesn't flex enough, causing your heel to lift early or your toes to grip the ground. But because ankle stiffness doesn't usually cause sharp pain, it gets ignored. Instead, people adjust their movement subtly. Shorter steps, slower pace, less side-to-side motion. Over time, this creates a pattern of restricted movement that chips away at confidence without you even noticing it happening. The beautiful truth, though, is that ankle mobility can be restored at any age. You're not stuck with stiffness just because you're over 60. The ankle responds incredibly well to gentle, consistent mobility work. Simple movements like leaning your knee forward against a wall, slow ankle circles, or step-based stretches can gradually reintroduce the range your joint has been missing. And these improvements come faster than people expect. Sometimes just a few minutes a day can start transforming the way your legs feel. One of the most powerful effects of improved ankle mobility is the boost it gives to your balance. When your weight shifts from one leg to the other, your ankle is the first joint to react. If it's stiff, the reaction time slows, and your balance feels off. But once the joint begins to move freely again, your foot can make micro-adjustments instantly, helping you stay upright and stable. Many people assume balance issues come from weak legs or poor coordination, but often it's simply an ankle that isn't giving your body the information and movement it needs. Mobility restores that communication and makes every step feel more secure. Ankle mobility also affects the way you walk. When the ankle doesn't bend enough, your stride shortens, your hips don't rotate properly, and your walking efficiency decreases. You expend more energy for each step, leaving you tired sooner than you should be. Restoring ankle mobility helps your gait feel natural again. Your foot rolls smoothly, your steps lengthen, and your legs feel lighter. This isn't just a physical improvement, it gives you confidence to walk faster, farther, and with more stability. Many aches that people believe are a natural part of aging are actually a natural part of stiffness. The body is designed to move, and when certain joints stop doing their job, other areas must pick up the slack. The ankles, being the foundations of your movement, are often the silent culprits behind knee discomfort or hip tightness. When the ankles move better, the hips feel freer. When the ankles become flexible, the knees feel less compressed. It's a chain reaction that brings relief to the entire lower body. Another often overlooked benefit of ankle mobility work is its impact on preventing falls. Falls are a major concern for people over 60, not just because of injuries, but because of the loss of independence they can cause. Good ankle mobility enhances your body's ability to adapt quickly to sudden shifts like stepping on a small rock, landing on uneven ground, or reacting to a slip. If your ankle has the mobility to adjust, your body stays upright. If it doesn't, a stumble becomes more dangerous. Mobility isn't about flexibility for the sake of stretching. It's about creating a safety system that protects you during everyday movement. Improving ankle mobility also helps with stairs, one of the most challenging movements as you age. When your ankle bends properly, climbing stairs feels smoother because you're able to place your foot fully on each step and push through a stable base. Descending stairs feels safer because your foot can flex enough to lower your body smoothly without forcing your knees into awkward positions. This small improvement has a huge impact on confidence and daily freedom.
One of the reasons people regret ignoring ankle mobility is because they often don't realize how much it affects their overall movement until they finally start working on it. The moment they regain even a little mobility, everything begins to feel easier. Walking becomes less tiring, balance feels more stable, stairs are less intimidating. The lower body feels more coordinated, and there's a sense of smoothness in movement that might have been missing for years. It feels like regaining a piece of youthfulness, something simple and foundational returning to the body. Ankle mobility work doesn't require heavy effort or long routines. It's gentle, it's accessible, and it's one of the most transformative things you can do for your body after 60. With just a few minutes a day, you reawaken a part of your movement system that impacts everything you do. You don't just move better, you feel more confident, more capable, and more connected to your body. Ignoring ankle mobility may seem harmless at first, but once you understand the ripple effect it has on balance, posture, comfort, and independence, it becomes clear why this is a key area you can't afford to overlook as you age.
As the years pass, one of the first changes people notice in their bodies is how their posture shifts. The shoulders start drifting forward, the chest tightens, the neck cranes out, and before you know it, you've developed a slouch position that feels almost permanent. It doesn't happen suddenly. It develops quietly over decades of sitting, looking down, rounding forward while reading, texting, working, or even just relaxing. By the time you reach 60, this pattern can feel locked into your body, and many people assume it's simply part of aging. But in reality, it's not age that pulls your posture down. It's the underused muscles in your upper back that have gradually stopped doing their job. Strengthening these muscles isn't just about appearance. It's about breathing better, moving better, reducing pain, improving balance, and keeping your body aligned in a way that supports everything you do. The upper back includes a cluster of muscles responsible for pulling your shoulders back, stabilizing your shoulder blades, and supporting the neck. These muscles don't get much attention in daily life because most modern movements are forward-focused. We reach forward, type forward, drive forward, cook forward, and look at screens positioned in front of us. The back of the body muscles, the ones that are supposed to keep us open and upright, barely get activated. Over time, they weaken to the point where they can't hold your posture anymore. But the moment you begin strengthening them, something incredible happens. They wake back up. They start pulling the shoulders into alignment, giving the neck better support and taking pressure off the lower back. One of the biggest benefits of upper back strengthening is how it improves shoulder health. When your posture collapses forward, the shoulder joint becomes compressed. Movements like reaching overhead, lifting groceries, or even brushing your hair can feel tight or uncomfortable. But when you strengthen the upper back, you create space in the shoulder joint. The shoulder blades move better, the chest opens up, and you regain smoother motion. This becomes especially important after 60 because reduced shoulder mobility is one of the main reasons people start struggling with daily tasks. A strong upper back directly protects your ability to lift your arms, reach, carry, and perform everyday activities with ease. Another major impact of upper back work is how it affects the neck. Many people over 60 deal with chronic neck tightness, tension headaches, or a feeling of heaviness in the head. This happens because when posture collapses, the neck muscles take on too much responsibility. They work overtime trying to hold the head up, which leads to strain. But when you strengthen the upper back, the load shifts off the neck and onto the muscles that were designed to support it. The head begins to rest in a more natural position, movements feel lighter, that constant strain starts to fade. You're no longer fighting gravity with the wrong muscles. Improving posture through upper back strength also boosts your breathing. When the chest collapses, the lungs don't get the space they need to fully expand. Breathing becomes shallow and your body gets less oxygen. You might not notice it moment by moment, but over time it affects your energy levels, your endurance, and even your mood. Strengthening the upper back lifts the chest and opens the rib cage, allowing deeper, fuller breaths. You feel more energized during the day because your body is getting the oxygen it needs. Upper back strength plays a surprisingly large role in balance too. Most people think balance is only about the legs and the core, but posture is a massive part of stability. When your shoulders round and your body leans forward, your center of gravity shifts. This makes you feel less steady and more vulnerable to tripping. But when your upper back is strong, your chest stays open and your weight is distributed properly over your feet.
This improves your balance naturally without you even thinking about it. Small adjustments in posture can make you feel immediately more stable. Another powerful advantage of upper back strengthening is how it affects your overall movement confidence. When your posture is pulled forward, you can feel older than you actually are. Your body language changes, your energy changes, and even the way you walk can seem slower or more cautious. But when your upper back muscles activate and your posture becomes tall and open again, you not only look more confident, you feel it. You feel lighter, more capable, more in control. Moving through the world becomes easier, more comfortable, and less tiring. Upper back strengthening isn't about lifting heavy weights or pushing your body to extremes. It's about waking up muscles that have been idle for years. Gentle rows, simple band pulls, squeezing the shoulder blades together, or movements that encourage opening the chest can make a massive difference. What matters most is consistency. The more often you activate these muscles, the more they remember their role in supporting your body. And once they regain strength, the posture improvements become natural rather than forced. Ignoring upper back strengthening is something many people regret later in life because the decline in posture tends to sneak up slowly. One day you might notice your shoulders sitting a little forward. Months later, you might feel tension in your neck. Years later, you might struggle to lift your arms or feel discomfort just standing upright for long periods. These are not signs of aging, they're signs of underused muscles. And the sooner you bring attention to them, the easier it is to turn things around. People often think posture is something you simply accept as you get older, but the body is not locked in place. It adapts to what you train. If you strengthen what's weak, the body responds. If you bring awareness to the muscles that support your frame, they rebuild. It's empowering to realize that you can reshape your posture at any age. You can pull your shoulders back. You can lift your chest. You can support your neck. You can move with the freedom you thought you had lost. Strengthening your upper back is one of the simplest, most effective ways to feel younger in your movement, reduce daily discomfort, and restore the confidence that comes from standing tall. It protects your shoulders, supports your neck, improves your breathing, enhances your balance, and gives your entire body a more aligned structure to work from. People regret skipping this work because once they finally start doing it, they realize how much better they could have felt all along. You're not stuck with the posture you have today. You can build strength, restore alignment, and open your body back up in a way that makes every movement feel more natural and more powerful as you age.
When people cross the age of 60, they start to notice something they may have ignored for decades. The way their body responds to consistency, or the lack of it, becomes dramatically clearer. Muscles don't stay strong just because they used to be strong. Balance doesn't stay sharp because it was sharp in your 40s. Joints don't remain mobile simply because they once moved freely. Everything becomes more sensitive to what you repeatedly do or repeatedly avoid. And that's why the idea of sticking to small, targeted exercises carries such enormous power. It's not about doing the hardest workouts or trying to train like a 20-year-old. It's about training smart, training regularly, and choosing movements that directly support the things you want to keep doing for the next 20 or 30 years of your life. The real benefit doesn't come from doing 100 reps or working out for hours. It comes from doing a few movements every day that send a clear message to your body. Stay capable, stay steady, stay strong. The biggest mistake many people make after 60 is believing it's too late to improve. They think changes will be minimal, slow, or not worth the effort. But the body responds at any age. Muscles still grow, nerves still adapt, balance still improves, and joints still regain mobility. The difference after 60 is that your body rewards consistency far more than intensity. You don't need to sweat buckets or push yourself to exhaustion. You need to show up. You need to move with intention. You need to repeat the exercises that support the specific abilities you rely on every single day, like getting up from a chair, walking with confidence, stepping off a curb, carrying groceries, climbing stairs, or even playing with your grandkids. These everyday actions feel effortless when your body is supported by consistent, purposeful training, and they quickly feel difficult or risky when you go too long without practicing the fundamentals. What makes small, targeted exercises so valuable at this age is how efficiently they build confidence.
confidence in your balance, confidence in your coordination, confidence in the way your joints move. When you feel stable on your feet, your fear of falling decreases. When your legs feel strong, you walk differently. When your spine feels supported, your posture improves naturally. When your hips and ankles move smoothly, you don't hesitate when stepping onto uneven ground. This confidence is not just a mental feeling, it's a physical one, born from repetition. Every time you practice these movements, you reinforce the pathways in your brain that control balance, strength, and coordination. You teach your body to trust itself again, and that trust changes how you move through your day. Another strong benefit of consistency is that it keeps your progress from slipping backward. At 60 and beyond, you don't lose strength or mobility because you're aging, you lose it because you're inactive. The timeline for decline is shockingly short. Skip a few days of movement and you might feel a little stiff. Skip a few weeks and you start to feel weaker or less stable. Skip a few months and movements that once felt simple begin to feel challenging. But the opposite is also true. When you stay consistent, even with short daily sessions, the body holds on to progress extremely well. You don't need massive amounts of effort to maintain improvements. You just need regular reminders. Your muscles stay switched on, your joints stay lubricated, your balance stays responsive, your posture stays supported. Everything works together smoothly because you keep giving your body reasons to stay prepared. One of the most overlooked advantages of sticking to small, intentional exercises is how naturally they fit into daily life. You don't have to rearrange your schedule or carve out long workout sessions. You can do a few movements while waiting for your coffee to brew, during TV commercials, before bed, or right after waking up. Because these exercises are simple and low impact, they never feel overwhelming. Instead, they become habits, like brushing your teeth or stretching your arms when you wake up. And once they become habits, they no longer feel like workouts. They feel like maintenance for your independence, something you do automatically to keep your body operating smoothly. This mindset shift is incredibly powerful because it reduces resistance. You don't have to motivate yourself for a big workout. You just do what you need to do a little bit at a time every day. People who stay consistent with targeted exercises after 60 often notice something unexpected. Other parts of their life start to improve too. They sleep better, their mood stabilizes, their energy increases, their appetite becomes more balanced. They feel more capable, more in control, and more connected to their physical body. Movement doesn't just strengthen muscles, it strengthens your relationship with your body. When you move regularly, you start noticing what feels good, what feels tight, where you're improving, and what needs a little extra attention. This awareness helps you prevent injuries because you catch small issues before they become big ones. You don't push through pain, you adjust early. You understand what your body is trying to tell you. The long-term payoff of consistency is not just physical strength, but freedom. Freedom to travel without worrying about stairs. Freedom to walk on uneven ground without fear. Freedom to stay active with your family. Freedom to maintain your independence without needing help for simple tasks. Freedom to enjoy hobbies that require movement. Freedom to age with confidence rather than caution. These benefits don't show up all at once. They accumulate slowly, quietly, day by day, through simple exercises done consistently. And the best part is that anyone can start at any time, and within a few weeks they begin to feel the difference. The body loves movement, and when you give it what it needs regularly, it responds with strength, stability, and the steady confidence that makes every part of life feel easier and more enjoyable.